And welcome back to Starting Point. It has been 4 years since the small, I mean very small, community of Shenandoah, Pennsylvania was rocked by a horrible act of violence that caught the nation's attention. A group of white high school football players beat an illegal Mexican immigrant to death. And then the police helped cover it up. Eventually, the truth came out. 2 of the teenagers involved were convicted, eventually, of hate crimes. They were acquitted, though, of murder. Now, there's a new documentary called Shenandoah that revisits the case. Take a look.
The phone rang, 10 after 9. And that's when our lives changed.
They tried to cover it up. The police tried to save us. And that's how we felt. We felt like they were gonna save us. But this was just too big to save, and I was scared.
Danny Glover is one of the executive producers of the film, and also joining us this morning, executive producer Billy Peterson and Pulitzer Prize winning photographer David Turnley, who spent more than 2 years in Shenandoah working on this documentary. Tell us a little bit, David. You'll start for us. Tell us about the town of Shenandoah. When I said small, it literally is like a mile square. I mean, it's really, really small. It has been hit by some hard times.
Yeah, this, for me, came about in 2008 after Barack Obama said that the working class in Pennsylvania cling to guns and religion in crisis. And I'd always been really proud of working people in this country and the diverse heritages of the people of this country. And I thought, gosh, it's time to go have a look at a coal mining town in Pennsylvania. And I drove over and landed in this town literally just after this incident had occurred. You drive into town, it's an interesting place. You drive from the mountains and you land in this hamlet. You see church steeples. You feel sort of like you're in a European village. And it literally is a town going back to the 1820s, 30s that has just been every imaginable wave of immigration until today.
When it came to Mexican immigrants, though, this is where they've had a real culture clash. And this is what happened with Luis Ramirez, the undocumented worker who ended up being beaten literally to death by white football stars in so many cases. What was the tone? What did you want to explore in this documentary, Billy?
I think we wanted to explore the community. We wanted to explore the motivation of why this occurred. And also we wanted to explore the conflict. You know, I mean, it's not unusual that this story is not unusual. I mean, the country is made up of immigrants. We came to a small town to really help understand why there's such conflict.
I want to play a little chunk of a rally that happened in support. I mean, the town really literally got divided. People who supported the young men, people who supported the Mexican immigrant and his white girlfriend, who was a local as well, who had his child. Let's take a look.
These kids did not intend to kill Mr. Ramirez. I'm clear about it. And I just don't believe that these teens intended to kill.
They're saying, okay, it's not a racist issue, but look at what they're saying and look at the signs that they're holding. And tell me it's not a racist issue.
Ultimately, is this what you wanted to explore, sort of a small community and how race and class and loss in some ways of economic security played a role in how this all went down?
Well, we thought it was a great story and one of the major stories in the 21st century here. This part of this country, and not only in this country, the world itself, dealing with the issue of immigration, dealing with the issue of border, dealing with the issues of security. All these things were important. Here we have a town which had been deindustrialized, a town that had been in hard times, a town where people were angry and frustrated themselves, you know. And I want to believe that there is some outcome that that takes us beyond the particulars of this incident right here.
Well, let's talk about that.
There's a level of tolerance and it come from those young people.
Do you see that at the end of the day? We know that the two of the young men who are most involved ended up being charged with a federal hate crime, and they are spending fairly long sentences in prison. But what about the community? I mean, Danny sounded very hopeful when we were talking earlier. Do you feel that today?
I do, and I think that, first of all, I'd just like to say that the people of Shenandoah are incredibly generous to let me into their lives, and I think we all can learn from them. 3 years after I arrived in Shenandoah, Pennsylvania, in the spring, I arrived in town and came upon, on Martin Luther King Day, a march that had been organized by some of the football players that were friends of these guys that marched through town, and it was a small group, and then it sort of accumulated, and before long there were several hundred people from town marching through the streets of Shenandoah against racism.
Right.
Different Shenandoah than...
The tone of optimism,
right.
you
Well,
know,
that's nice to see.
and seeing that come full circle was really amazing.
Where can people see this documentary?
Well, the film is just completed, and we are looking forward to premiering it hopefully this fall in a major festival, and they can go on Facebook to Shenandoah Film or to www.shenandoah-film, which is the website for the film, and we'll keep them posted.
All right, thank you. It looks amazing. It is amazing. Appreciate it. Back in just a moment. Stay with us.